Hello everyone. Now let's come to another diagnostic method, inquiry. It is an investigational method to collect clinical information concerning the onset of a disease, development, medical procedures, current symptoms, and general information of the patient. It includes conversations with the patient or family members, guardians, etc. It can also be called a medical interview or simple asking or questioning. But inquiry is not only for collecting the clinical information, but also an essential part of consultation. Through the biophysical social mode, we know that the feelings, emotions, mind of patient are also very important. The oral advice given face-to-face to patients plays a role of social support and a physical connection. That makes the inquiry become one of the most important parts of the medical procedure. The content of inquiry in here includes general information, chief complaint, history of present illness, past medical history, personal life and lifestyle, family history. Those are similar like the modern medicine, but beside those aspects, there are very special inquiry contents of TCM. And our famous ancestor proposed a mnemonics of 10 asking. First is cold and heat. Second is sweating. Third is head and body. Fourth is the discharges. 5 is the food and drink. 6 about the chest. 7 the hearing. And 8 is about the thirsty. 9 is the history. And 10 is the causes. Additional questions are the medications used. Manners for women, including early or delayed menstruation, amenorrhea or abnormal uterus bleeding, etc. And for children, inquiry about smallpox and measles. For conveniently, we can find that all major areas, the first being mentioned asking is cold and heat. In here, we need to emphasize that this cold and heat refers to the personal feeling of patient and including 4 types of abnormal changes: aversion to cold with fever, chills without fever or heat sensations, fever without chills, alternative spelling of chill and fever. Through the basic nature of heat and cold, we can easily know the significance of them. That is, distinguish the yin and yang natures of pathogen and the excess or deficiency of the yin-yang situation. The detailed contents of asking cold and heat will be introduced in offline class. The second asking, that is sweating, or we call it perspiration, is an essential function of the body exhibition at skin. In TCM, the normal activity of sweating is the yang works on yin. That is to say, the yang qi from inside heating the body fluid into vapor and reach to the surface through the sweating pore, which governed by the wei qi, defending qi. Do you find the key points among those sweating procedure? Yes, the normal sweating depends on 4 elements: yang qi, in fluid, defending qi, and the sweat pores. Any of them being disturbed by pathogens or dysfunction will definitely lead to the abnormal sweating issues. The common condition of sweating includes general sweating, which due to heat or wind invasion that opens the pores in an exterior syndrome. It could be caused by yang qi deficiency or indeficiency or excessive heat or intensive fighting between the healthy qi and the pathogenic factor. Normally including 4 common types: spontaneously sweating, night sweating, profuse sweating, service sweating. They are all listed in the chart. The localized sweating, like the sweating only on the head or sweating on the half side, which commonly can be found in the Himalaya patient, and the sweating at the palms and soles, which indicates a case of heat or dampness in the spleen and stomach. And the last one, no sweating, normally due to the yin fluid deficiency or yang qi deficiency in chronic situation. Sometimes, lack of sweating in some parts of the body can be seen in the condition of stroke, paralysis. So those are the top two: asking, cold and heat, sweating. Another common complaint could happen in the patient's body is the pain. Before we talk in the detailed information, we should know the mechanism of pain and how it happened. We all know pain is a response to damage to any part of the body, either physical and mentally. In TCM, it is generated when the qi and or blood are blocked in some part of the body, or the local part lack of nutrition. The former is called pain due to blockage, 不通则痛, while the later pain due to malnourishment, 不溶则痛. So we need to distinguish the excess from deficiency of pain. If the pain is acute, severe, and constant, and get worse on pressure, it is an excess. On the contrary, a pain of slow onset, aging or tolerable, it is a deficient one. But we should know this is a general guideline, not totally enough for a concrete diagnosis. Should care for inquiry natures, locations, causes, and accompanied symptoms. One more asking I want to introduce is the diet and the test in the mouth. Diet provides the source of essence to mental life activities. The intake, digestion, and absorption of food and liquids are closely related to the functions of the spleen, stomach, of course, the liver, gallbladder, small and larger intestinal, and the three jaw are all included. By asking about the conditions of diet and taste in the mouth, we can infer the state of fluids and essence inside the body and judge the functions of the zhangfu organs to assist in the clinical diagnosis. The question on fluid intake should be focused on thirsty and fluid intake. Prefer to drink or not, acute fluid intake, and a preference for hot or cold drink. The questions on food intake should focus on appetite, amount of food intake, and preference of food, like the picture showing in here. There are many manifestations related to the appetite and food attack, and we should consider what kind of pathogens will lead to the disorder of appetite and always focus on the cold organs, spleen and stomach. The defecation and urination, which has close relationship with the food and water metabolism, like the stool, is the final product of the work of the large intestinal, but not only related to the large intestinal. It also coordinated by many zhangfu organs, like the spleen is the center of the digestion and determines the amount of the stool. The kidney is in charge of the opening and the closing of the anus. The lung descends qi and body fluids to the lower jaw, which helps maintain the large intestinal. So we should take all those organs into consider. And there are two key factors for differentiation: the mobility of intestines. Second, body fluids. The abnormal of defecation including constipation, diarrhea, loose stool, irregular defecation, while the urination are closely related to the spleen and the kidney, which bears the duty of managing water. No matter the defecation or the urination, the judge standards are all need to focus on color, frequency, nature, quantity, and the patient's feeling during excretion. The last one we should talk is about the emotion and sleep problem. In the basic series, we have familiar with the 7 emotions, which reflect the changes in the zhang organ. While the abnormal change lasts, they will become the disease causes. Those has been clearly explained in the basic series of chapter. So in here, we will talk more about the sleep issue. Sleep is an essential life activity. No one can violate this rule. In TCM, during the night, the yang qi and the wei qi, which refers to the defending qi, rest in the yin meridian and the zang organs. Thus, the people will fall asleep. In daytime, they move to the outside. We wake up. Sleeping reflects the condition of the heart shen and the cooperation between organs, like the very common clinical complaint, insomnia, or sleepiness. The manifestation and causes are all listed in the chart. Please check it clearly. So that's a very brief introduction for inquiry method. For TCM practitioner, not only should remember the information we discussed above, but also should focus on the individual needs of the patient. That need us to training the interpersonal communication skills. So much for today. Thanks for listening. See you in next chapter.